I want to share with you a perspective I have as a financial advisor. My name is Alyse Clark, and I'm the founding financial advisor at North Shore Wealth Management. According to Google, only between 3 and 5% of American retirees have $1 million. And if it's between 3 and 5%, then for simple math, we're just going to call it 4% of American retirees that have $1 million. And that means 96% of American retirees don't have $1 million. And from my perspective, that's because 96% of people are doing it wrong. 96% of people are managing their money incorrectly. And from my perspective, that 96% of people look no different to me from something called an ant death spiral. You should Google what an ant death spiral is. It's kind of gross, but it's also fascinating. In an ant colony, each ant is just following the ant in front of him, assuming that ant is headed somewhere they belong. And they will march along in line, assuming they're all going to end up where they belong. And usually they do all end up where they belong, but occasionally a few ants will get confused and start following each other around in a circle. And it's just one ant following the guy in front of him, assuming that guy knows where he's going. And they get trapped in that circle. And other ants will come along and see these ants marching along in line, and they will assume these ants are obviously headed somewhere, we better follow them so we end up where we belong. And thousands of ants can end up joining this circle and getting trapped in this spiral, assuming someone in there knows where they're going. And they will continue marching on in that spiral until they eventually die from exhaustion. It's kind of a sad story, but I bring it up because, like I said, to me, it looks no different from the 96% of Americans who are all just following each other along, making the same lifestyle choices that they think everyone else is making. They're just trying to fit in with what looks normal. And they're just trying to do what they see everyone else doing. And 96% of people are ending up trapped in this spiral that leads to nowhere, because it's normal to make bad financial choices and it's normal to go broke. You're just spending more than you need to on a car so that you can fit in with everyone else who is also spending more than they need to on a car. And you're spending more than you need to on a home just to fit in with everyone else who's also spending more than they need to on a home. And you're spending more than you need to on a lifestyle just so you can fit in with everyone else who is spending way more than they need to on a wardrobe, on watches and shoes and handbags and beauty regimens, just because it's normal to have all that stuff. That's what everyone else has, even if they spent way more than they should have to have it. So the 4% that are able to end up with $1 million in retirement, they made it there by stepping back and observing this ant death spiral and seeing that they're all just following each other on a path that leads to nowhere. No one's headed in the right direction, but they're all just following along because that seems like the normal thing to do. That's what everyone else is doing. And these 4% people realize that what's normal is wrong. What's normal isn't smart. And what's normal is making people go broke. And if that's normal, then they don't want to be normal. They don't want to fit in with what's normal. So they choose to be different. And they choose different lifestyle choices and different spending habits so that they can end up with $1 million in retirement. It really is that simple. I'm going to share stories with you of families that I know that fit in with this 4% crowd, and I think it will be quite eye-opening for you to see what their lifestyles look like and what their spending habits look like, and I think it will look quite different from what you'd expect of millionaires. I hope you will find it informative and eye-opening, and I hope you will stay tuned for it.